Welcome to P3, I'm Randall Mark. This is a show that explores the fascinating people, places, and perspectives that make up our world. On today's show, we talk about how to get a divorce without wrecking your kids. And later on, I meet a beekeeper who tends bees on a living roof in downtown Vancouver. It's going to be a great show. Stick around. How do we make divorce better for the kids? Deb Zutter is a lawyer and mediator based in British Columbia, and she has years of experience working with families. She has come up with some helpful tips to make the experience better for everyone involved, outlined in her new ebook, Divorce Mediation, What You Need to Know. She joins me in studio. Welcome to the show, Deb.
Thanks, Randall.
This issue of divorce is so common. 1 in 2 marriages in Canada are ending in divorce. Here's where I want to start with you. Most of us see and frame the idea of divorce as a failed marriage. But you come up with a little different angle. Explain what you mean by this.
Well, you got married, and that was a success. Marriage is over, and so you're grieving the end of that marriage. And the way you do that can be with integrity. So it doesn't have to be a failure. It has to be perhaps framed as moving on with your life and carrying on with respect and dignity for each of you.
Yeah, because most people, we have this idea that our culture, whoever says your marriage will last a lifetime. We say these vows, we get this enculturated, but so many marriages don't work, and then there's so many people that feel frustrated, angry, and like failures, and then they get into this divorce process that can be so messy, can it?
It can be, and it's unfortunate to look at it as a failure, because really it doesn't have to be. It's all about how you choose to go forward with splitting up and making all the decisions you need to make.
One of the things that I know that you've been really working at as a mediator, and I want you to explain this, because in my mind, the history of divorce is a husband and wife fighting over the kids, fighting over assets. They're in a court, and it's very antagonistic. Mediation takes a little bit different approach. Explain what you mean by mediation.
Well, what I'm thinking of in the context of mediation is the parents are choosing to come to the mediation. And I'm using parents because a lot of time when parents do that, they're also choosing to focus on their children and make the best plan possible for their children. So they're coming to the meeting, they're doing so voluntarily. It's a confidential meeting, so all the friends and all the family aren't going to hear about what's going on. They're deciding that they're going to give each other full information, make decisions based on that, and they're going to allow each other to talk about what's important to them so they can make the best plan for the entire family.
And this is it legally binding, the document they come up with?
Well, what you come up with typically at the end of a mediation is a separation agreement. Okay. That's a contract. It's legally enforcing. Once it's signed, witnessed.
And then it's legal?
Then it's legal.
Tell me about, because you've been a trial lawyer, you've been a prosecutor, you know the court scene, you know how antagonistic that can get. How many marriages out of 10, let's say, are actually going to trial now, where the typical movie scene of the fighting in the courts? Is that happening anymore?
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. The rest are settled.
The rest are settled in different ways at different stages. So some of those that are settling on the doorstep of the trial, if you will, and they've gone through all kinds of applications before the court, chambers applications, to find out who's going to look after the kids at Christmas time, who's going to live in the house, who gets the car, all these decisions that they aren't able to make between themselves, so they're going to the court.
What are you finding as far as, and I've been working with families like this for a while, what is one of the major issues that you find when a couple comes into your mediation office? What's kind of the typical myth or problem they have coming in that you need to say, let me work this through so you can have a successful mediation?
I think one is about the fact that one person always leaves the marriage emotionally before the other. And so what happens is you've got somebody who's way down the road of healing. They're ready to go. And the other person is still in shock. What do you mean you don't want to be married to me?
Just happened to them a week ago or a month ago or whatever.
That's right. And so you've got people who are out of step emotionally, and it's really hard for this individual to sort of slow down and remember that he or she was in that place a while ago, maybe 6 months, 7 months, a year ago, and it took them a while to get to the place they're at. And this individual is kind of has to be brought up to speed in the sense of it's not that you're being rejected, it's that the marriage is over and you're going to go through a grieving process, and that's healthy too.
Sounds like you're doing a little bit of counseling too, because I mean, these are human lives. They're not just contracts. You're talking about, as you said, different emotional levels. This is a very complex situation you must place yourself in.
Well, and I'm not trained to be a counselor. My clients taught me all this. They taught me that, you know, you go through a stage where it's not happening to me, you're totally in denial. You go through another stage where you're, what can I do to make this marriage work?
I'll fix it.
I'll do anything.
Yeah.
Another stage is, and we've all seen this one, the anger stage. There's depression, and sometimes depression looks a lot like anger, but it's sadness, deep sadness, and you can be in all three of those in the same day.
Wow.
when you're in the midst of all this emotion. Ultimately, you get to acceptance. So what my clients taught me was, you go through all these stages, they're normal. It's part of healing. If you don't go through them, you don't heal. And it's individual. Each person has their own order and their own duration. To the extent that we respect them, the easier the process is.
One of the things that I know that you outline in your ebook, you talk about, it's very practical. I mean, it's you know, you outline it very simply. Here's some things you can do. Let's talk a little bit about the issue of kids, because this is, for us, for most people, they go, yeah, why should kids be the innocent bystanders? Why should they be the ones that get the emotional mess of this divorce? What are some, give me one or two practical things, we'll take it from there, and we'll take a quick break, but one or two things you can start with, how to help kids get through this.
Two things. When you tell the children that you're splitting up, do it together. And you can actually come up with a rehearsed version of how to do that, working with a mediator or somebody else who's skilled with child development and how children do with divorce. The next most important thing is keep children out of the middle. It's not divorce that's hard on kids, it's being exposed to conflict.
Right. And yet we want to pit them against each other often. Be on my side. Dad's a jerk. He did this. Mom did this. Well, let's pick up this conversation because I think we're really getting to the heart of this. So more with Deb Zutter right after this.